Hall of Fame College Football. Happy New Year and welcome back to the Late Shift Hall of Fame College Football, the first of 2026. Welcome in Austin Hill. Let's celebrate this. Let's see. I had something up here a second ago. I know where it is. Maybe. Nope. Here we go. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody as they come in. Might do that a couple more times. Welcome in. We'll talk a little bit about this. Hey, man, the Cotton Bowl tonight, upset for some people. I kind of called it. I've been seeing it. This all kind of coming together where Ohio State was going to have, if nothing else, a battle on their hands, and they were definitely going to be Happy New Year, sir. Along with Chris Fax Autumn, Austin Hill, thank you guys for coming in as you get here. Happy New Year, Easy Money. Good to see you, my man. Marcus Dent. Yeah. Marcus Dent was texting me just now. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year, Mr. Spangler. Easy Money. Jimmy Satterfield. Happy New Year. Good to see you guys, man. Let's see. Let's do this again. Happy New Year, folks. It's kind of trippy, man, all this stuff. I mean, I'm finding new stuff to do here. You guys are going to get me playing with everything. That's pretty wild. What up? Really enjoyed the Miami win. Hey, listen, what a game. Hey, listen, if you guys were watching earlier, you know that I've been kind of calling it. I didn't all the way go on and say that I felt like it was guaranteed that Miami would win. I didn't feel like I've come into this thing saying that I don't believe in the Big Ten right now. I don't. I think the best team in the Big Ten is probably Oregon, and they've got flaws as well. But I don't believe as much in Indiana as a lot of people do. I think that Alabama's going to get them tomorrow. That's the one that I've been standing on that one for sure. But I've been saying for a while now that I think that Miami posed a big problem for Ohio State because they had the advantage on both fronts as far as the trenches were concerned. Defensive line versus the O line at OSU, and offensive line versus the D line. Therefore, OSU as well. So I think that Carson Beck kind of, listen, it was efficient. It was, he didn't put up huge, gaudy numbers. He didn't do it against A&M either. Touchdown, but he was completing passes. He was, making the right play. They ran the football well. They out-physicaled Ohio State for pretty much the entire game. And, I was talking to Really Flawed a little bit during it, through text messages and stuff. And the concern was that, and you've seen this a little bit with Miami throughout the year, is that they don't go really deep on that defensive front. And there was a concern that they might run out of gas at some point. You saw Ohio State make a move to get close to the lead, but they were able to hold on. And, a lot of gritty play for that team. So, it was a lot of fun to watch. Pretty good one. Back from another USC loss in the state of Texas. So did you go to that one there, Trojan Fight? I'm happy as a Canes fan, says Anthony Manzano. Congratulations, sir. Indy, Texas Tech, and Georgia next. Yeah, no. You're going for Indy? You think Indy and Texas Tech are both going to win? No, no, bro. Yeah, how can you believe in Tech? I gotta understand that. Happy New Year to all you guys, and congratulations, Anthony. Big win, man. You know, I wasn't positive they were going to get that done, but I felt like they could, and yeah, it has been the weakness of the team a lot. And you know what? Shout out to our guy, my guy, that he's always in on the Maze Madman show. He usually comes around here a little bit as well. Um, and I'll remember his name in a second. His screen name. He's my guy though. But he's an Ohio State fan, and I was on the Maze Madman show a little bit last week, and talking to those guys about the playoff, about Ohio State. And I told him I didn't think that they were going to cover. They were all pretty much on, obviously, Ohio State, even the Michigan guys, other than Mays. Apparently, Mays did pick Miami to win, apparently, is what he's saying. Um, hey, Happy New Year, my friend. Happy New Year. Appreciate you. Um, you'll see why tomorrow. No, listen. I've watched plenty of Texas Tech this year. I've seen basically every game. There's a lot of fugazi going on there, buddy. That loss to Houston, you know, they didn't look, and they had some other moments that they didn't look as clean. They're not as deep as they need to be. I think they have a good defensive line. I think, but it goes one deep, and I think a lot of what you saw, like with Miami, I think they only try to go one deep. I don't know that, if they have any more depth pieces that they probably should be using, but it looked like for a while like they may have ran out of gas. But credit to the Hurricanes for the way that they fought through it and ran the football. The offensive line was legit. And again, like I said, they made defensive plays. They kept Julian sane, and that was the main reason that I thought that combination of them not having the greatest offensive line, and that's what my guy that I was talking about from the Ohio State fan, that he comes in here quite a bit. Uh, yeah, I called Miami over Texas over A&M as well. Oh, you called him over OSU. Okay, yeah, good. Um, yeah, listen, I mean, the only thing is, and I think they're really good. I don't think that they've been tested with the way that they're going to get tested tomorrow. Number one, the offensive line for Oregon is the best part of that offense, and there's a lot of really good pieces in that offense. But that is the anchor to that team. Um, Look, Dante Moore, nobody throws the ball better than him. He's been putting it all. He can put it wherever he wants to. I saw him in high school in the All-Star game in San Antonio, and when he was coming out, and he was fantastic. I would just tell you that he's looked a lot better throughout the year. I think you know, I believe Indiana caught him slipping a little bit in that game. We've seen Dan Lanning not get them right, but that offensive line for Oregon is legit. Their running backs are legit. Woo, excuse me. Also, you start looking at, I mean, they're healthy at the receiver spot, which that was a problem for them for a good period of the season when they struggled a little bit offensively. Um, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I really think that like Texas Tech's defense is heads above like what you saw them go up against Iowa, which was probably the next best team that they played and beat in the regular season. Um, I would just tell you that I don't think that Texas Tech has what it takes. And the biggest problem for Texas Tech, the defense at Oregon is pretty good too. And Baron Morton ain't that guy. He's just not that guy. But it is what it is. Tech, how you believe in Tech? I gotta just say this, Kyle. How you would believe in Tech is beyond me. When they've never done that. They've never done anything. Mm-hmm. Andrew, we have been. Who have they played? Early in the year they played Texas. They did. Texas was not very good at that point of the year, and they beat them 14-7. That was Texas at its worst. Was early in the year. They were struggling. They struggled with UTEP at that point. And looking at them today and the way that they played against Michigan. First off, shout out to Michigan and Bryce Underwood for playing the way that they did under the circumstances. But I hate to say this, folks. Arch Manning was legit today. Um, he played his ass off. He was making all the throws. He looked confident. He looked calm. He looked like he could be a problem moving forward. We'll see kind of how that goes. But look, I thought that Michigan. Ma. I thought that Michigan really looked pretty good at for the most part. They hung around a lot longer than I expected them to. Because I just don't think that by the end of the year and everything that they've gone through at Michigan, I didn't know that they were going to be able to hang around. How do I believe in Oregon? I don't believe much in the Big Ten, but I can tell you that out of the Big Ten teams, they have the most complete team at Oregon. And Dante Moore is a ton better than what your guy is at Texas Tech. And Texas Tech, first off, they've never been. Who the hell have they played other than BYU? And they lost to Houston. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on. I'm going to get to that in a minute. My thoughts aren't great. It's. I would first off. I'll just say this about Michael Hawkins, and Malik Hawkins is going as well. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope that they both get the opportunity that they deserve. I hope when it comes to Michael, I hope that he gets the opportunity that he was promised here at Oklahoma and didn't get. Um, I think it's. I have a feeling it's gonna end up reflecting poorly on Oklahoma if he goes off and does what I think he's gonna do, which is explode, and Mateer continues to not get it done at OU. I think that. Look, I can tell you this much. I'm not going to go too deep into this stuff, but I just want to say I believe that I hope that look, guys, I'm an Oklahoma guy. I love Oklahoma and I want Oklahoma to win, and I hope that John Mateer is a ton better than I've ever seen him be. I really do. And if they're going to go all in, I hope we go win the Natty and do all that. I would love for that to happen. I can tell you this much. I saw 12 minutes worth of film of Michael Hawkins shredding the Oklahoma defense at practices all year long. So that narrative about he never did enough in practice to show that he was better, that's not a factual statement. It's just not a factual statement. Um, he wasn't given an opportunity whether he earned it or not. End of story. And that's concerning in the overall. When you start looking at to me, that's the biggest part that sucks. I feel bad for Michael, but I also feel good for Michael and Malik because I think they're going to go and they're going to get the opportunity they should get. Somebody's going to make him their starter. He's going to go out there and do his thing. And I'm not just talking about him running around and doing stuff like that. He's dotting them up, and you guys know what this secondary was like. No, the portal's not always greener. No, it isn't. But if you're not getting the opportunity that the plan was always to be, just like it was supposed to be with Jackson Arnold, and everybody was fine with it, with Dylan leaving for Jackson Arnold. The plan was always supposed to be for Mateer to come in, be a one-and-done guy, and then it's Michael's team. That's not how it worked out. I tend to wonder whether it was ever going to work out that way and whether they would have, Buckle would have tried to do something like starting a true freshman, Bo Bentley, over Michael Hawkins. And not because he actually won the job. Because I got to tell you, I don't believe in Ben Arbuckle and his priorities. That's where I'm at on it. His priorities are not with the team first. It was about John Mateer first. I said this the other day on Rise and Shine. Um, hey, thank you for the super chat, Easy Money. $20. He says, I'm hoping on some good news Friday. Thoughts? Listen, I we'll see what's happening. I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be in the portal. I mean, today after the morning show this morning, there was a shit ton of action. Started with Michael Hawkins, but it was guy after guy. None of these guys that entered the portal were guys that you didn't really expect to. And I even lost track of everybody that it was, but there's quite a few, man, quite a few. Some linemen that you didn't, Logan Hallen going in was a little surprising. I think that was one of them that was surprising. I think he's probably looking at it from the tackle perspective and saying, these guys are younger than me and they're starting over me at this point. I got to make a business decision and go somewhere I can go play now. I think he would have been a good depth piece for sure. But maybe he does work for it. I don't. Maybe he finds himself in a starting position at some point if Ryan Foje turns out maybe being better at the guard position. You never know. With I myself thought that Foje looked better at guard throughout the year but he looked good at tackle as well. I'm not saying he didn't look good there. Both of the freshmen had their moments where they made mistakes. But I think that when you know that they also looked very good at times, that is, along with EPL and, you've got guys like Darius Afalava, Michaela. He didn't go in the portal, did he? I think it was just Backlinko, right? Anyway, some of that is a little concerning, but in the end, I think that, that's the price that you pay for getting really good guys that are young in the recruiting itself, because it kind of takes some time to build that. And if you've got guys that are freshmen, true freshmen, and a redshirt freshman that are starting, then that leaves for, chances are they only stay another couple of years after that first one. But you're not going to get any upperclassmen with a lot of experience that are going to want to come in to be a depth piece. They're generally moving around to try to start if they're really good anyway. But it is what it is. Yeah. Andrew, I'm with you. I'm right there with you, my guy. Nothing but love for Hawkins. I hope the kid goes and balls out somewhere. Look, me too, man. And in the end, here's the deal with the whole deal. Just to kind of finish on that, and I don't want to. I mean, I may get into it a little more later. And there's some things that are, it really does bother me. But the main thing that it is that I feel like that there's no doubt in my mind after watching that 12-minute video of what he was doing during practice. It wasn't that he wasn't performing. Everything that we had heard, anything that's ever come out, and I'm writing a column about this. I haven't finished it, but I'll put it out later and you guys can read it. But all that, there was never anything coming out of the Switzer Center with regard to Michael Hawkins that said anything other than he's been fantastic. You heard Gabe and Teddy say it a lot. We heard Boganowski and Dent, who were both at practices, and said that he looked fantastic. That's all we've ever heard. Any rumors about or any lazy BS narratives that have come out that people you default automatically to, well, obviously he ain't better or he ain't good enough or else he'd be in. That's not factual. It's just not. It's a lazy statement. It's assuming that, he's going to play he's just going to play the best player because, he only cares about winning. Arbuckle's a new guy to this program. He's not an Oklahoma guy. I mean, he is now, but he's not. I mean, look, I would hope that you'd be more about that, but I think we've seen the concern was they were so concerned about him getting back for the Red River game because they felt like if Michael went in there and won that game, which it wasn't going to take a whole lot to turn that game because Texas didn't do anything on offense for 3 quarters? It was mistake after mistake, and they were still right there. And just think, I mean, look, when you look at that, I felt like they were so concerned about him getting in. And once he got in there, even when he got hurt again, and you could tell he's bleeding everywhere, they didn't take him out. I think they felt like if he goes in and wins that game, he'll never get that job back. And the same thing happened the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. Now, finally, at the end, he was playing a little better. He had a better grip on the football and things like that. But John Mateer never played well in the second half of the season. We can blame that on a lot of things, but I think the biggest thing that you have to blame it on is him and Arbuckle and their decision to forsake the rest of the football team that was doing everything that it was doing for his personal goals and career. And that's just as factual as I can make it. I'm not trying to be completely asshole, but there was a lot of selfishness going on there. Yeah. Okay. Cool. If it was an actual going to be a quarterback battle, I think that his dad would have probably hoped that that was going to be the case, and maybe if you go get somebody in the portal, maybe it wouldn't have been. I think that that's a bad move if you're not actually doing. And James, I'm glad you brought this up. Compete for the starting job. I would hope that really is the bedrock that that this culture is built on at Oklahoma, because we know it's like that on the defensive side of the ball. That the best guy plays, and they talk about recruiting guys to beat you out of your job every year. We've had 2 freshman All-Americans back-to-back years at cornerback because they were the best guys for the job. They were played. I mean, Cortland Guillory played from game 1 to the end of the year. Fantastic. Eli showed why he was a freshman All-American the year before. These guys are legit that's the way it is pretty much everywhere on the field, aside from on the offensive side. And I think that is it's the same thing I was talking about when I said that I feel like Brent Venables has to take more control over the offense. I'm not saying he has to call the offense or any of that kind of shit or game plan it. He has to decide what kind of offense is going to run in his program, and he has to hold Ben Arbuckle or whoever the case, maybe whoever the coordinator may be, accountable for doing the things that they want done. And you can decide who your quarterback is too if you're the head coach. You can do that. He was the one that decided to pull Jackson Arnold against Tennessee a year ago, which, by the way, there's a glowing example of what they were so far behind, and they weren't moving the ball on Tennessee at all with Jackson in. It was mistake after mistake. He got in there and settled things down, made some plays, got them on the board, got them within 10 points. It was about to be a blowout. It's a lot to ask for to bring him into a situation where we're already losing. It's your first action, as a true freshman under the guns. I mean, I think he played in one of the early 3 games or whatever that, who cares, but first ever Tennessee, first SEC game for Oklahoma. You're losing. You've got 3 turnovers. He comes in and kind of rights the ship. Then he goes and puts the team on his back a week later at Auburn and wins that game. Not just with his legs, but with a big time throw down the field as well. In the Texas game, he was 21 of 30 in the game. The game plan was shitty. They didn't score a touchdown. I get it. That wasn't because of Michael Hawkins. I would tell you that the South Carolina game, yeah, he threw 3 interceptions. You know that how many times did John Mateer have 3 interceptions? He wasn't a true freshman either, by the way. How many times did he have 3 interception games this year? A couple of times. It's his 3rd year in the system. The difference in the amount of leeway that they've gotten is wild to me. And that's why I think, for the sake of Michael Hawkins, I'm glad that he's going to find a place. Look, I hope that wherever he ends up, somebody says, "Hey, you're my guy." Like we hear a bunch of that shit about Buckle and his guys. And I hope his guys are better than his guys were to this year. And that includes Kuzieski and his. I mean, you've had that amount of time with this kid, and his mechanics are still that bad. It's concerning, guys. If nothing else, I mean, yeah, I've got some allegiance towards Michael Hawkins. He's been here, and he's a legacy kid, and he's got some stuff that he's done. You can't seriously look at me and tell me that why Oklahoma went 10-3, 10-2 in the regular season was because of John Mateer, because we know better than that. The losses they had, he certainly fueled those. You know, the wins, he had his moments early. After the broken thumb, thank you, defense, and Tate Sandell. But, you know, how much does it hurt losing your sweet baby boy Hawkins? Hey man, you're funny, bro, but not that funny. It sucks, man. But here again, it's kind of bittersweet because I'm glad that he's going to get an opportunity. And I say this about every player that comes through here. I hope that if they leave and whatever reason they have to leave, I just want them to go and be successful. And I want that for them. Look, the Hawkins family is an awesome family, by the way. An awesome family. If you don't know the story of how his dad ended up at Oklahoma, you should go seek that out. It's inspiring. Okay? I know he doesn't talk to the media or anything like that, and you don't he's got a when you see him in pictures, he's got a look on his face that like he's not very approachable. He probably isn't. When you find out what that man went through for a lot of his life, you'll understand why. But he's those are great kids. They work their asses off. They deserve what they get. They really do. And they didn't deserve, and I mean Michael didn't deserve not getting an opportunity to help the team that he loved and wanted to be at Oklahoma. It was, if you remember, Levy didn't give him an offer until he had him come and throw for him, even though he was his dad's teammate back in 2002, I think. He hadn't offered him. They had to wait until he went and throw it. He had to go, no matter what he had done already at the 6A level at Allen and getting ready to do there at Frisco Emerson, which was a freaking unreal season his senior year. He didn't get the offer based on that. He had to go and work out in front of Levy, and Levy gave him the offer then. And it was important for him to get that offer. He wanted to get it for his dad. His dad was telling him to hell with him. We'll go wherever else. You don't have to do this. He wanted to do it. That should mean something to Oklahoma fans, right? It's about more than money and following a coach or anything. And I'm not saying anything necessarily just about Mateer. I'm just saying it was about more than that. Oklahoma meant more. We, as fans, we want it. We are longing for the days where it's so loyalty about OU and all that, and it's not a business, all that other shit. It's a loyalty thing. Well, you just lost a loyalty guy. You just lost a loyalty guy. And I think it kind of sucks, man. Mm-hmm. When Bob got hired, he got to handpick his entire staff. BB's never been given that opportunity. That's true. Hey, Happy New Year to everybody. Let's go through that again. Let me go ahead and say hi to everybody. I know we got more people in here at this point. 80 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. But Austin Hill, Crucifix Autumn, Easy Money, Jason Spangler, Satterfield, Anthony Manzano, Trojan Fight, Kyle, James Thrice, Goaded. What else we got? My gun sweetness. Andrew Ledbetter, Satterfield. Let's see, I already said Satterfield a couple times, I think, but Goaded, House Money Pro, my guy. Easy Money again. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very nice of you. Portal isn't always green. Okay, let's see who else. Daz, what up? Hey, man, I think they're the only team left that can beat Georgia. I don't know that they're going to beat Georgia, but I don't think anybody else could have. Who else we got? Kirk Bradford, Richie Dubs. There he is. That's my guy I was just talking about. I told you, bro, not to get too excited about it. Richie Dubs, good to see you, man. Sorry, I know you're struggling with it, but hey, man, they were a bust, although. Let's see. Easy money. Let's see. House Money Pro. OU Revenge Tour. Max Swearingen. Who else we got? Kirk Bradford. All right. I don't want to miss anybody. Welcome in, though, everybody. Kobe, my guy. Benji. OU Revenge Tour. Spaghetti. Lone Wolf. And T Boomer. If I missed anybody, raise your hand and we'll talk soon. 2026, one of us along the Red River is winning it all. Ooh. That would be cool. I think that the moves that I will say this about what's going on with the portal and everything that listen, you got to listen. I have gotten a lot of good information out of Chris Mason. I know some other boosters, but he's got some connections that are a little closer to some of the information at least. He always seems to know long before something happens. Shout out to him. Thank him for coming on this morning onto the show and answering portal questions. But listen, everything that I've heard, everything that he's heard, everything that K. Chris has heard, everything that we're hearing from throughout the program has basically pointed to OU's pushing their chips in the center and making a run at it today. And you know what, Benji? I absolutely understand after watching your horns today why you guys feel the same. Arch ain't the same as he was at the start of the season. I've been saying he played a lot better towards the end of the year. Today, he looked fantastic. There, he didn't let nothing really rattled him very much. Bad throws, good throws. He didn't make too many bad ones. He had some throws that were next level throws, and then he showed that touch that you wish John Mateer had at times this year. They're going to be a problem if they get the right mix of guys in the backfield and add the guys where they need to. That offensive line needs some work, I know, still. But I mean, I think they were a lot better today. They were a lot better today, man. And I think that Michigan looks better, and surprisingly, they look better. And they didn't have Justice Haynes, their top receiver. I don't think was in there either. But Underwood, he made a couple of mistakes, but he definitely looks like he's coming along too. And he made some legit throws as well. That was a fun game to watch, that one. A lot of fun. But let's see. Pit Snipe Husker. What up, man? Good to see you. Johnny Boy, you too. He believes it, Texas, though. Don't get it twisted. What? I believe what? D-line is the great equalizer. It is indeed. I thought they might be going to run out of gas at some point. Like during the third quarter when they kind of, started to lose the lead, but they never let momentum completely get away from them. And they kind of got their second wind. And I mean, well, they're kind of down to their last hope anyway. But when they got that last interception there, getting to him again, Ruben Bain, I mean, he's not the one that got home, but he made sure that that's why that dude got hit and saying through that pick. But that was a hell of a football game too, man. Shout out to both them teams. But look, I've been saying I just didn't think that there was enough depth there, and you hadn't really been tested that much at Ohio State. You just hadn't been tested. And not to say that you played a ton better teams at Miami. But another part of it is that I don't think that there's really a big question on who was the more physical team. I don't think it's really questionable. I think it was Miami from the start. Their speed is legit, and their skill guys, man. They've got guys that are straight dogs, and I mean their running back. Carson Beck, you got to give him his props. He played a good football game. He did. It wasn't big numbers or anything like that. He's passing for 74% on the season though, and he didn't make the big mistake that got him hurt. He didn't do it. Julian Sayin made a big mistake, threw a pick six. It's a tough game, man. Jeremiah Smith, man, that guy's still so good though. Bama versus Virginia or versus Georgia for the Natty. A lot of people were saying that. I think it's a good shot at that. I think it's going to be Bama playing Oregon. I think Oregon is good enough defensively and good enough on their offensive line that they can run the ball and make it different and maybe have a shot. It's going to depend on how well they hold up in their secondary. Or I guess if Texas Tech was to win, but they're not going to win. But I think that Texas Tech could get drilled by Alabama. Oregon's got a shot, But I think that Bama, look, I think something happened when they started feeling disrespected and stuff like that. There's a different thing going on with that team. And, they got pushed around early against OU, but they were doing the pushing at the end. So, you got to give them credit, man. They've and the thing is with them playing Indiana, it's not close, the rosters. It's not close. Maybe they're a little better coached by Cignetti and his team on that side, maybe. But I don't know how much, maybe, though. In the end, you don't got the horses. You're going to have to hope that they don't start well and you're able to run the football on them. And I'm not sure that you're going to be able to do that. LT Overton will be back and healthy. They're pretty much a full go at Alabama. They're healthier than they've been in a while. I don't know. I think Alabama's coming through it at the right time. Yeah, we're just kind of talking about that. Rough day, man. Well, yeah, it was. You guys took that on the chin a little bit. I saw that on the basketball season. OKC going back to back. Yeah, you did. You know what? I was just saying that when we were talking in the mainstream, that your concern was that the offensive line could hurt you, and that was what I kept saying is that in the trenches on both sides of the ball, Miami had the advantage there. Their offensive line was legit, as good as the defensive line is at Ohio State. It's not. It's a little thin, and they were just that good, man. Yeah. Hawkins enters the portal the day of the town of Hawkins is saved from the upside down. I don't know what this is. I'll have to look that up. What did you do? What did you do? Oh, man. Do tell. I may have to drop a link so you can tell me the Miami run game was legit. Absolutely, man. I don't think so. Nah, man. If you're calling for Ryan Day to be fired, you're crazy. He finally beat Michigan this year. They didn't win the Natty, but he did that last year. He's got at least 5 years of grace. Did he? Are you sure about that? I didn't look. Drank so much that you modified your Well, Happy New Year, my guy. Oh, that's too damn funny. Here's what I would say. I know it's not that they can't. They've got good running backs. Their young guy is really good. He looked really good against Oklahoma, the Simmons kid. Then you also have Jam Miller is supposedly healthy again. We'll see what he's doing. But Jam Miller, when he's right, is good. The problem with their running game is that they, like Oklahoma, have not committed to the running game. And by the way, I think that part of Texas's problem this year was not a true commitment to running the football. You know, I think that, and a lot of these offensive guys are like that, dude. They just forget what they're doing, particularly these head coaches that they think in an offensive mindset at all times. There can be too much of it to either side, but offensive coaches, especially ones that like to spread it out and throw it around, they forget about the fucking run game way too often. I'll tell you that Lincoln Riley, who's the best at it, I mean, him and Chip Kelly, I would say, have been the best at figuring out run games from the air raid. Right? Lincoln forgets about that shit all the time. They had Marshawn Lattimore a couple of years ago, and isn't that who that was? Not Marshawn Lattimore. Was that right? Whoever, the kid from South Carolina. I may have been thinking of the old kid from South Carolina, but the guy that they got in the portal, he was averaging 9 yards a carry, getting 10 carries a game. And they go 7-5 that year. Bunch of close games that they lost. And they got Caleb Williams doing a bunch of freelance hero ball shit and not giving the ball to that kid. Unbelievable. Did I have that right? Is that the right name? The list is long, Revenge Tour. The list is long. He needs to get his shit together with, I mean, look, here's a problem. My concern about that is your quarterback coach, Kuzieski, has had him for 3 years, and his mechanics are what they are. It's piss poor. It's piss poor. Happy feet, throwing like a shortstop, a bad one at that. You know, he doesn't have different speeds. He doesn't have different heights that he doesn't. He doesn't layer anything. You know, he lets, arm side gets flying out there and he misses on that side a lot. You can say some of that was about his thumb, but it wasn't all about that. If you watch the film guy, you pay attention to what he's talking about. He's talking about the arm slot that you should be in order to make an accurate throw. Sometimes you can get away with it, but when you're moving, you're not going to. And he chicken wings it out there a little bit. He's got that side arm. There's a lot of shit going on. I don't think you always have to change everybody's stuff up, but there's some basic things that you have to. I mean, look, it's pretty simple. You have to have a good base underneath you to throw anything. You do. You look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers and the way he's been in his career. Think about Aaron Rodgers. It's effortless looking, but he has unbelievable footwork, even on the run. When he's running out of the pocket, Baker has always had really, really good footwork. Baker has an underrated arm at that, right? That's the whole thing, though. These guys, I mean, you can't be so laxed in your preparation. And I don't think he's working on the right things. And what the fuck is your quarterback coach doing if he's not working on those things and it's a problem? You still drinking? Shocker. Oh, well, man, it happens. Nah, I don't, but we'll see. What else we got? Hey, Lincoln couldn't run last night when it mattered. Of course, being down 4 starters on the O line might have been part of it. Yeah, but the problem with that is you don't get to use that excuse if you're SC because they didn't have their quarterback. They were losing guys too. They didn't have guys in there. The quarterback that you started against hadn't even taken a snap all year. Shit. And they had a 10-point lead late in the game too. It makes you, and I don't know what was going on with Danson Lynn. I'm going to tell you that I've watched some of their games. I watched the game. I watched their loss against Illinois. Thought that they looked bad. I thought they looked really good against Michigan. That was probably the best that SC looked all year was against Michigan that day. But yeah, dude, I mean, DC is going to be the big thing. Well, is it PK? I've heard a lot of rumors about that it's going to be Kwiatkowski, the that just got fired from Texas, really for no reason. The beard works though. It- what Mateer has can't be fixed. It's a mental issue. His wires cross too erratic. Well, if he's hurting, it's the question. I mean, if that's the case, then why are we going to watch it next year? The hope. I mean, look. Here's the thing, and I said this earlier today to Mr. Mason because he said it a couple weeks ago. Hope is not a plan. And again, the fact that you would allow a talent, I mean, look, even just at the things that they were doing in the offense that we don't like from this year that wasn't really successful. They'd have been more successful with Michael this year. He's dynamic as a runner, he's dynamic as a passer. Just doing things the way, scrambling on third down, the +1 run game on, in those key situations, running it on fourth or whatever it may be, getting out of trouble. I think that Mateer is a heady runner. He's not a speed guy, and he's a good runner at times. He also had a bum leg by the end of the year. Why they never went away from it. So that's where my problem is that we have prioritized whatever's going on with John Mateer over the entirety of the football team, and that ain't it. Nobody, I don't want to use up my line from the column that I'm going to write, but I mean, what happened? What did Bob Stoops say that day in the legislature when he was talking about what happened in the Lincoln Riley situation and what was said? And he had to tell he pulled everybody in there and told them nothing in the history of this football program, no coach, no player is bigger than the program. You might want to change that line, Coach Stoops, because almost nobody is bigger. It was this year. And that is a problem that goes all the way to the top because this is a culture thing. And if you're not, you've heard this before. If you're not coaching it, you're allowing it. It was allowed at the all the way up. And I can go all the way back to the Jaden O'Neal situation with Bo Bentley and the way that was handled. We talked about this a lot. The way that they handled that was trash. It was terribly done. They didn't tell the truth about a lot of things. They strung him along. It wasn't the right thing to do. I understand that you got to get your guy. You got to get a guy. They already had a guy, and the guy is better than the dude they're bringing. He had better numbers in 10 games than Bentley had in 12. So, I don't know. That in the end, it concerns me that if the number one priority of Arbuckle is to worry about the career of John Mateer and what he can do for it here, first off, I don't think you're helping him by giving him a handout. You got to go win this shit. And that's the other part, man. You're setting a bad precedent, and this is really what they did it with Dylan. Even I mean, when Dylan came in, they couldn't get a really good backup because they promised him starter position to get him here. Handled badly. Didn't work out. They got, Dylan missed the freaking Red River game. We had a tight end plant taking snaps and got smoked. I like Dylan Gabriel a lot. There was other guys that might have been able to be a little better, Now, I think that what he was for the program at the time he was there, I got nothing but respect for Dylan Gabriel. Regardless of his limitations as an athlete and as like a pro level quarterback. He ain't that guy. He certainly isn't Caleb Williams. But he's pretty good. and he was a good leader. And people in Oklahoma kind of shit on him, by the way. Felt like that, part of the reason he left in the portal. But they were, I don't think that Venables pushed him out. I think he wanted him to stay. I think that the writing had been on the wall, and there was things behind the scenes happening there that Dylan left on his own. He was leaving. But I see why people think that he was pushed out. He wasn't pushed out. I think Venables wanted him to come back. He didn't trust Jackson yet. He shouldn't have. Obviously, he saw something there. You know? Oh, no. Give me a present, Fugger. Trojan fight. You giving up in Clay Helton 2.0? Ooh. Dude, I can't stand it. It makes me nuts. Tell Aaron Rodgers that he sucks. I'll tell you this, though. Aaron Rodgers can play. And he's not the same dude that he used to be, for sure. I'm with you there. Oh, you can say whatever you want to, house money. I can't argue with it. I can't argue against it. Do I think that BV's a racist? I do not. Do I think that Buckle's a racist? I do not. Do I think that there's some racist tendencies in Oklahoma? Oh yeah. Yeah, I do. And I think that the fan support that gets behind a guy like John Mateer, you can see that maybe being part of it. Yeah. I can see that. Because I say, you know what, guys, I'm the one that goes through all these fucking comments every day, not just the ones that are in here in the live stream. They continue to come. You can go back to any video I have and continue to comment if you want. And they come, and there's some, and look, man, I'm a white guy from the area, bro. I understand that speak. I understand that language that, I'm a racist, but I don't want you to know a racist shit. I don't want you to know I'm racist. Conversations that come on, right? And I'm not just going to sit here and point at anybody that there's automatically they're racist, this or that, because it's, they like the white quarterback versus the black guy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'll ask you guys though. And look, I mean, this is a tough one because Baker Mayfield probably had the best career of any quarterback in Oklahoma history at Oklahoma. I don't even think probably. I think it's a guarantee, right? 3-time Heisman finalist, a winner, number 1 pick. Nobody really has a resume like that. The one thing though, Kyler had a better year than any year that Baker had. And Baker has every fucking record out there. Pretty much, And except that single season that Kyler put up the next year, he was better than Baker was. I don't know. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to admit that very often. Why? Why not? And I think everybody loves Kyler. Don't get me wrong. But, well, go to enough games, you get it, man. Dylan is a lot better than Mitchell. Satterfield, you ain't fucking lying, man. Yeah. And you think back when they did what they did to Hawks House in high school too. Well, that was certainly not an Oklahoma thing, but yeah, that was a fucked up deal. That, I mean, it caused them to leave Allen, and Chad Morris takes a lot of flack for that shit. He's the one that lost. I mean, he lost him. He lost that tight end kid that we had too. That's what sent them away. It was fucked up shit. But and I know Kyler was. Everything I've heard that Kyler was mortified by that shit, right? Because he went to Allen too. He's the all-time leading. I mean, he's the all-time leading winner in the history of high school football in Texas. Never lost a game and shit. And he played from the time he was, what, eighth grade on? Fucking crazy. Crazy. Kyler was that guy. He was that guy. But, you know, as much as you would like to think that there's a lot more progress than that. I think we're also at a time that there's a lot of animosity between people for political reasons and other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with race. But race is an easy way to discriminate or to disseminate between one side or the other a lot of times, I guess. I'm not going to get into politics with everybody here, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's a question that I think that you would have to. No, uh, I don't even know if I should do this, but you guys do remember that there was some pretty significant allegations that were thrown around at Clemson for a while about BV and Dabo. But and I'm not saying I don't think that Brent Venables is a racist, guys. I don't. I don't think it's about a race thing. I think that but here's the thing. If there's a racial overtones to some of this stuff, and I mean, you know, you can think what you want to. I mean, look, Buckle chose who he chose, and you know, O'Neal wasn't his guy. I think that. Look, and you know, I'm pretty tight with Jaron and Jaden. Like those, love those dudes, man. They're my guys, right? Hang around with them quite a bit, but if you know, Jaron's a little. He's protective and he's quiet. He can be a little intimidating, kind of like what we were talking about with Hawkins' dad. And it's a little intimidating, right? I think that Buckle was definitely intimidated by Mr. O'Neal. Period. End of story. And in fact, no, I don't think nothing. He was, and it wasn't great. But there was also there wasn't any trust built there, and immediately he's going out there, and you know, when they had that meeting, we talked about this before. They had that meeting where Todd Bates and EJ and JJF were all over there at the house with them, right? And they did that visit in there, and that night, Buckle admitted to not handling the situation well, but then he still turned around and went right back to the truth is he wanted Bo Bentley. He was always going to want Bo Bentley. If he could have gotten them both to come, that would have been fine. Bentley wasn't going to come if Jaden was still locked in, and Jaden was not going to stay if Bentley was committed. Wasn't going to happen. It doesn't happen. Blue chip quarterbacks don't go in the same class. They don't. He put Ward over Mateer. Did he, or did his head coach put Ward over Mateer? And Ward was older and already there, and I mean, they brought him in. I think Eric Morris had a lot to do. Just so you understand, Eric Morris was there at that time as well. The talk about him being the guy there at Washington State, he wasn't the guy when he got there at Washington State. Maybe or whatever. I don't know exactly what it was, but Eric Morris had a lot to do with both of their development. And the guys that when it comes to I mean, he's Texas State, all that other stuff. Hey, Eric Morris is the guy that has done the better. No, I'm not going to go into all that. I don't even care. It doesn't matter to me. Eric Morris is an Okie Light guy, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, okay, that's fair. He's gonna, but see, but this is the thing. Like right here, if most coaches there's a loyalty that's going to run there with quarterbacks and stuff like that, but there should never be a loyalty over the rest of your football team, right? That if you're going to be that loyal, and I said this on that show with Big Mike the other day, if you're going to be that loyal to one player, no matter who it is, and in this case, quarterback, that means that you're being disloyal to the defense that's putting you in a position to win. When you're not performing, you know you're not performing. You're not even for that matter, it's not loyal to your own fucking job security for them to perform the way that they performed a lot of the time this year. But where I come out is like, and again, this all has to go back to Venables. We can sit here and blame Arbuckle all day long. Venables is in charge of the entire football team. He's not the defensive coordinator. It's his team. Happy New Year again. It just hit midnight here in New Mexico where I'm at. It's Happy New Year again. Let me do that again. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, look, in the end, shout out for everybody in the mountain time zone. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year to everybody again. All right, going back to that. Man, we're already coming right back to it. Again, Venables got to pull up his big boy pants. He is the head coach at Oklahoma. This is exactly precisely what the fuck I'm talking about. Where the first year that Lincoln got there, Stoops let it be known, I don't care what you had to do or how you come up with it. I don't give a fuck about the air raid. I care about runnings with Samaje and Joe. The two best running backs in the country, we're going to fucking run. And we're going to run a bulk of the time. Yes, we have good receivers and we got good quarterbacks. We got a great running game. Run the fucking ball. It was not negotiable. It was not negotiable. On a Nick Saban football team, do you think it was negotiable for them to run the shit out of the football? They had good quarterbacks. Nobody really knew how good they were because they didn't throw it that fucking much early. He had to decide to change the way they were going to do things and allow Lane Kiffin to modernize it a little bit so that they could stay competitive. Right? He had to do it. But he had to make that choice. He ruled that entirety of that program. His fingers was on every little bit of it. There was nothing that he, pushed aside to, and let somebody else handle that. That's not how it works. Now, you can delegate authority to do certain things, but you trust and verify. Trust and verify. Trust. I mean, come on, man. It's like your kids. Trust them, but you verify because they're going to fucking do something crazy. They were like, if they're like you, they're going to be like you did. You know what the fuck you know what I'm saying? And this kid is young. He's similar to Lincoln. He's fucking 30 years old. Getting this job, which is, again, I would tell you, I was talking to Marcus Den earlier and stuff, and he was, we were talking about the argument we had that day about me saying this is not a place for Ben Arbuckle or for anybody to learn on the job. It's not an internship. This is a blue blood top level program has a tradition of being every year one of the best offenses in the country. This is not acceptable. So you didn't need a project kid. You didn't. Now, if you allow, and here's where, I remember hearing Brent Venables talking about Kevin Wilson being very sensitive to not step on toes where he's not the coordinator, right? And Venables, he's worried about that. He's worried about that. Venables needs to tell him to stop worrying about it and step all over them motherfuckers. Crush his toes. Fuck it. We're going to get this right. And this is how we need to do it. But there's a way to go about it. You just sit them all down and be like, look, we're going to get this done together. And this is how I want this offense to look. I don't like the RPO. Maybe he does like whatever. What I want to see is I want to see linemen firing off the football, not sitting back on their heels. I don't like our blocking scheme that's getting us fucked up. And it doesn't match the physicality that we play with on the other side of the ball. So you're getting beat up in practice because you're always on your heels, too. That's another thing. What's some of the other stuff that's been going on during this time? Schmitty looks like he's probably on his way out, retiring, whatever. I think it may be forced. I don't know this. That's not, there's a lot of rumors that are flying around. Doesn't sound like Schmitty's coming back. Sounds like they also could be making a lot of big changes to the medical team. We heard Gabe and Teddy say that a year ago that they were doing that. But there's still more changes to be made, apparently. It seems like a guy that's already on the staff that he's a younger guy, but he's got experience. Maybe the guy taking over is what he said this morning. I forgot what he said his name was. Oh yeah, James Dobson, maybe the new guy. I don't know. I don't care. They need to figure it out. I've heard a lot of crazy things about how he's kind of, there's a lot of outdated shit that's been going on under Schmitty. If you remember back to Lincoln fired him for that very reason. And a lot of the injuries that are coming along, not all of them are like that serious. They're soft tissue. That's usually a conditioning problem or an overworking problem. That's the reason that Lincoln fired him before. Now he hired the wrong guy, Benny Wiley, to come in and take over, but that's neither here nor there. They were into Tybo. That's how they wanted to do it. Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I'm not, look, I'm kind of past that point of, I think there's some issues. I don't know who the problem is. I have a hard time believing that it's EJ, but I hear people say certain things, and you're like, oh, okay. But I think we simplify things an awful lot, though, and go straight to the, we want to do it. It's the coach. It's this guy. And again, you don't hear any of these kind of things really coming out of the Switzer Center. I think narratives get started on Twitter and everywhere else on YouTube, and they get picked up and they turn into, it picks up steam. But Black Raider still, yes, he did. Heart of Sports, what's up, Jason? We got into it a while back over your Sooners, but no hard feelings. I respect your ball knowledge and rock with your content. I think we just got off on the wrong foot. Happy New Year to you. All right. What up, Heart of Sports? I'm trying to, I don't remember the argument. Did you have a different username? They've all kind of changed. Am I worried about the O-line depth, Lucas James? Not really. I think we could be a little. I think if Howland leaving kind of messes with your depth a little bit, where you were hoping maybe it didn't. Right? Maybe you got to keep him. Did Ozida get in? Ozida's not in, is he? If Ozida gets in, it's a little concerning. Then you're going to have to hope that Afalava's ready to rock. You're going to and Daniel Akinkumi better be ready. Heart of Sports, did you have a different username or something because it's changed? YouTube has changed everybody's stuff up. It's been weird. So maybe I'll remember that, but I don't really remember the argument. I argue with lots of people. Easy answer is a little bit. The portal's just now going to open on Friday, though, too. And I think that they have the money to spend to whatever they need. As you heard being said, Chris Mason said it. You've probably heard it with the insiders, with Scoop guys, the 247 guys over there. Those guys all keep up with what's going on, and they're all saying it. Look, man, I've been in a few arguments. If it was about a certain thing, maybe I'll remember. But I mean, whatever it is, I don't hold grudges. So We don't hold grudges. I don't hold grudges about stuff. I mean, but we're talking ball. People disagree with each other all the fucking time about it. The people have been disagreeing with me all day today. You know, I'm pro Hawkins. Some others ain't. Right. Um, Ohio State lost their edge after finally beating Michigan. Michigan losses got more attention and airtime than the national championship last year, so their focus was all about one game. Yeah. And I also think that Ryan Day gets in his own way a lot, right? I think that I'm not saying Ryan Day is a terrible coach. What I'm telling you is I think Ryan Day gets in his own way. Like, if you look at last year, right? Their quarterback was not good, man, at Michigan. Not good. And they had already lost that game at Oregon. And by the way, Dylan played fantastic. It was a close game, but they lost it. But then they try to get into a let's run it down each other's throats match. Pause. That was a weird thing to say, huh? Let's try to see who can run the ball better. And against Michigan this is the power run team in Power 4 football is Michigan. It has been since Harbaugh got there, for sure, right? And to some extent, it's always been that way in Michigan. But Harbaugh took them back to, the days of Bo Schembechler and all that shit. That's what he was wanting to do. He played for Bo. But, man, when you've got Brian Hartline and the not even kind of close, the most ridiculous group of receivers on any team in the country by a long shot, why the fuck are you trying to get into a pissing contest on running the football against Michigan and Sharon Moore? Why? It didn't make sense. They should have they should have thrown the shit out of the ball to get ahead and then run the ball once you got a lead. They let them hang around and they got them beat. It was stupid. And you know what? Look, that doesn't mean he's not a good coach overall. It means that day he had a brain fart. I'm pretty sure. Brain fart. Big one. Stupid. Hey, yo, Kyle DePuise. Ohio State lost their. Let's see. Ooh, as fuck. What does that mean? What are you doing? Oh, because material's trash. Ooh, as fuck. Okay. I got you. I caught it. I was yelling at you earlier. Yeah, you pissed me right off. Not really. I don't need guys. Y'all think I get mad sometimes, and I get loud, but generally I don't. And if I was gonna stay mad about shit, I couldn't continue doing this show because y'all all fuck with me all the time. Even the ones that don't that much do. TP gets on my last fucking nerve. I love him though. Damon Rice. Jake Taylor did. I knew he was going in though. Yeah, Rich, I'm sure you are, man. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, who is your team there? Heart of Sports? Good question. Richie Dubs. My guy Richie, man. He was cool as fuck. That's my dude. Beklenko. Not Michael Beklenko. I don't think that it was surprising. No, Beklenko wasn't happy from the time he got here. And from what did you hear? Were you in here this morning whenever Chris Mason was talking about that? I didn't even know that. I didn't know that deep of the story. I knew he wasn't happy. He was not happy. I didn't know why. He was supposed to come in as like a developmental piece. He was going to get a red shirt year, and he ended up having to play, but then he didn't play enough to justify losing his red shirt. And so he fucking is pissed at Oklahoma because of that. It messes with their depth a little bit, but I don't think that there's anybody that was there that thought that he wasn't going to leave. I think that Coach Beanbo has been kind of working to see if he could get Dent back, but that's not going to happen either. Um, it's not going to happen that I can tell anyway. And Willie Anderson, freaking future Hall of Famer, he's been working with Dent, with Isaiah. Loves him, thinks he's going to be unbelievable because he probably is. But look, that's another thing. I mean, whatever was going on with his, he had that little. It was like it wasn't like a serious knee injury, but it was not handled correctly multiple times, so it's lingered, and it's fucked with his ability to be on the field, which fucks with his standing within the staff and particularly you got a GM and a scouting staff at this point too that's trying to crunch numbers and money. Shit gets fucked up like that. Uh, Everybody needs to do their job and do it correctly, or else it can mess up everybody else's shit too. And like apparently, Coach Beatonbow is pretty upset that that Isaiah's out, but he's out. So kind of is what it is, man. Are there any coaches we should have on? Oh, I'd love to have any of them on. I don't think they wouldn't touch this show with a 10-foot pole, buddy. Wouldn't happen. Would not happen. Uh, and I mean, I know some of them from back in the day, but I know Coach V from back in the day. But I'm pretty outspoken on this show, and it goes around. I don't have a huge following, but I got enough of one that when I say something outlandish, it gets out there. Hey man, you're my guy. I'm not a big fan of your boys, but I understand hey, we're right there with you, bro. We're just a couple of weeks ahead in the the mourning process, I guess. Yeah, Howland is the guy I was thinking that we should try to hold, but it was always touchy, right? This has kind of been coming. What's up, Bless Vet? Oh yeah. Well, you got a new staff and stuff like that. He had to. I mean, a lot of those. I think that's happening a little bit at Florida too. Because they have guys that they jumped in the portal. I think you're probably going to see some of it at LSU. I know they're dumping a lot of of that roster, but I think it's a little short sighted if Lane does too much because there's talent there, right? Defensively, they probably keep most of those guys, don't they, Kyle? Yeah, he is too, man. And the thing about him, I was talking to Marcus about that. I was like, man, this is a kid that he's doing fantastic in school. When he's not at the Switzer Center or working on homework, he's fishing or hunting. That's all he fucking wants to do. He doesn't give a shit about doing. He doesn't party. He don't drink or do none of that shit. His mom might kick his ass too, but but that's just not out. It's not who he is. He loves it. He loves to cook out on his little Blackstone and he goes and fishing and shit. He was always fishing, always fishing. Yeah, I kind of figured that. Well, but he kept Blake Baker. I mean, it stands to reason. He's out, guys. He's going to be out. I don't know when it's going to be. It may be coming like after the whole holiday's over with. Tomorrow will be that day. I don't know. I think that it's everything we're hearing is that he's out. And I think part of it too, I think Joe John's in a position at the point. I don't even know that it's all about him at this point. I think it's again, these things snowball and the narrative catches a life of its own. I think there were some things that happened with him and Leb early on. What was the kid that went to the tight end that went to Arkansas? Oh man, it's on the edge of my tongue here. Tell me who it is. The guy that went to Arkansas. Levy and him pissed them off so bad that they wouldn't even come as long as he was here and when Levy was gone. because he got in the portal, I think, last year. See, can we let EJ go as well? Why? See, again, I don't understand why anybody says that. He recruits his ass off. But then people are saying, well, who's he developed? I don't know. I think that again, Luke Haas. Luke Haas, that's who I was talking about. I knew somebody would say that. Here's my deal about EJ. You guys remember when they fired Kale and the guy that was, what was the kid's name that was he was just an analyst, and then they made him the wide receiver coach, and they were not doing well. They were dropping balls all the time. He wasn't holding them really accountable to stuff. And even this kind of like, it was a veteran group. That's where Theo Weiss got in fucking Levy's doghouse bad, fast. I mean, he never really got to play. Remember, he played in the Tech game, but that was really his biggest game, and he really wasn't playing much. That's why it was showing his ass last year in Columbia when all that shit went down. Oh, I know that they do. I'm aware that they have the money. Here's the thing, though. I remember not that long ago when Chip Kelly had Donovan McNabb and Nick Foley, or whatever the Foley guy's name is. Nick Foley, right? And Michael Vick. And they had the secondary, and then when it wasn't it, Vince Young was there at one point during that time and shit too. And like they were calling them the Dream Team. Nnamdi Asomugha and all these guys, and they didn't do a fucking thing. Sometimes it don't work out. And I gotta say, I think that Lane's a good coach. He hadn't won anything. Do I think he fits with LSU? I do. Do I think they're scary? Yeah, I do. I think that Brian Kelly should have been scary down there too. We're talking about the all-time leading winner in the history of Notre Dame. He didn't win a natty. He won more football games than any coach in Notre Dame history, and he fucking couldn't get it done at LSU. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Who in there would tell me that would say that Coach O is the best coach, is a national championship head coach, and you would be like, oh yeah, that'd be the first guy you think of? Nobody's going to say that. He's a good motivator. He's a hell of a defensive line coach. He can recruit his ass off. It worked out down there because he did fit the culture, and he knew to delegate the stuff he knew to delegate, and he did what he needed to do. That shit went to his head, and he was gone 2 years after he fucking won the natty. Oh, man. I don't know. I think that I don't think that they're going to lose to $100,000 or a half, or $300,000. I think they're gonna they're gonna have to lose to, they're gonna make you beat them by $1 million or something like that. Or that's what I think. LaDainian Washington, that's the guy. Revenge tour, you're the man. But he wasn't really holding those guys accountable, right? I'll give you that part. But that doesn't mean he's doing it. But again, Kyle, it wasn't as easy at Notre Dame as it should have been at LSU for Brian Kelly. Because of their, the standards to be like, you can't really get into Notre Dame through the portal. You have to go there in recruiting. Unless you're a graduate, it's hard to get into Notre Dame. Their admission standards are crazy. That's why he was always talking about shopping in different aisles and shit like that. But so I'm not saying he's not going to win. I'm saying he hasn't won. And when he does, okay. I think they're going to be really good. I do. But I also would tell you that I was one of the people that said that Brian Kelly shouldn't have a problem winning a natty at LSU either. He didn't really sniff one. You know, what do you think Cam's going to get when it's all settled? 3 to 5. I think it's at 2.5 right now. I think it probably dries up another million, maybe three and a half, maybe tops. I would think. I don't think Oklahoma's going to get in any higher than that. I don't. But again, I don't think they're going to lose by $250,000 either. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to come to that. And you kind of play that game if you're going against Texas and Texas A&M and whoever else, LSU. You don't want you. I mean, look at how we remember with uh, defensive line guy. We were all in on him, right? Uh, man, I am freaking. I'm just gonna pull everything up. Shit, hold on a minute. Dominic Williams is who I was thinking of. Man, it's been a long day. So remember when Dominic Williams, that there was a freaking bidding war, right? Well, Texas, they knew he wasn't going to go. They kept offering him more money, but part of that was so that they could make Oklahoma have to pay the top amount. LSU was there the last day before that he made the decision. They had flown in to Dallas to talk to him that morning. Offered him more money. There got to be a point that Oklahoma was like, "We're done. We're done with this." But his mom was, I mean, his handler was doing his job. His agent, handler, whatever you want to call him, he was doing his job. But there gets to be a point, and now could they have probably went back and got some more money at USC or? I think so. Yeah. But then again, I think he may have checked every last ounce. But in the end, his mother was like, "No, this is where we're going to be." So that had a lot to do with it too. I don't think that a lot of the Texas people were saying, remember, that they paid way too much, that they weren't ever going to pay that much. They always say that when they lose. But you would also say part of that would be that some of them probably know that they drove up the price a little bit. And so it costed a little more than what you wanted to pay. Well, I think Dominic Williams was worth whatever it was that they paid. He's been fantastic, right? But if you're not going to get Cam and you're in on this deal, you need to know what that number is and drive all the way up to it to make sure that either you get him or they do, but they have to pay as much as they possibly can. You got to make it expensive. It's part of the game, man. That'd probably be a fun part of the game, but nah, I don't think so. $4 million is a lot of money, bro. $4 million is a lot of money, Christopher Shannon. You're out of your mind. I don't think so. You know what though? You never know. I guess I think that you. I guess it depends on where you feel like you are as a program. Like, is that the one last piece that's going to change things? I would tell you he's not. I think that he's a game changer. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. I've said it a million times. That dude's a number one receiver in the NFL. He's a franchise guy at the NFL level, right? But is he the game changer? Is he the piece that puts you over the top and you win a natty with him? And you have to ask you, and you have to be honest with yourself in that. And I can tell you, I don't know that he is. I think he makes things easier on whoever the quarterback is. But I don't know that he's going to make John Matera a better football player. He may make him look good in certain situations, but I don't think that he's not going to change his mechanics. He's not going to change his decision makings. I think it's a tough sell for me. Could he? But that being said, I guess I mean I could go back on that and even I mean I can argue with myself all day. You could also say that how close were they to winning it this year? Would Cam Coleman have been the difference this season because he can go up and get a 50-50 ball that we didn't really see him throwing a lot of? The thing is that Mateer doesn't throw a lot of different angles. I mean, arm angles maybe, but he doesn't change speeds. He doesn't change trajectories very much. He doesn't layer things a bunch, right? Remember early on in the season where he missed some deep balls that if he'd just put some air on it, and we were talking about, man, he's got to get some air into that. He was still doing that shit in the LSU game, guys. I don't know. The BC guy is there's a couple of dudes from BC that they're in on pretty hard. I like the kid from Michigan State a ton, and I like Omari Miller from Colorado. He's got great numbers, and that's Nino from Nino's Corner. That's his nephew, cousin, one of that. Omari Miller pissed Nino right off, Mister Longhorn. Well, bullshit. Okay, he balled out at times. Bullshit. He didn't ball out. Balling out is hitting a. See, you're gonna make me have to fucking say things that I don't really want to say right now. There you go. This is the thing. I'm kind of look, man. I'm kind of. There's a side of me that says that he could change things a little bit, and he would definitely be the best player on the field. He's going to be the best player on the field usually every time he's on it, right? He can erase. He can cover up some of your deficiencies as a quarterback. He's not going to change your decision making process, and he's not gonna keep you from doing stupid shit like that. He's got the Metcalf build, huh? Cool. March between Notre Dame and LSU as well. Yeah, I mean, look again. Here's another thing that I said this morning. Wide receivers are a fucking dime a dozen. They've got a bad. They're Satana's coming back. Everything I'm hearing, he's coming back, guys. Almost, almost certainly. I have not heard a single person that's saying he's leaving. Not anymore. They were saying that earlier. Everybody's convinced he's coming back. He's a bad dude, right? Giovanni Gibson never got fully back to himself from breaking his leg, in the spring, summer, whenever it was. So if he's back to what he was before he got to Oklahoma, and he's hungry, and he's hungry, and Mateer likes him, who do you really have to have? Elijah Thomas is I mean, they're expecting Elijah Thomas to be a bad dude. The kid they got coming in, what's the kid, the big kid that switched from Wisconsin? He's a dude. They're expecting him to be that puppy to bite. They're expecting that, right? I think Elijah would have. I think that he didn't make the transition to college life as easily with the, keeping on top of your grades and everything else. I'm not saying he was partying and doing stuff like what's his name. I'm saying he had a little bit. It sounds like he may have had a transition issue, and they kept him on special teams and things like that, but they weren't. I think Coach Venables, for his own good, was trying to get him lined out, right? Lewis, Jermichael Carter looked. I mean, at the end of the year, the guy was looking fantastic. That's dumb. Yeah, you talk you say these absolute things way too often, Christopher Shannon. You're full of shit, too. You're not. That's unbelievably dumb to say. He wasn't a miss. Jermichael Carter had moments throughout the year, and at the end of the year, he looked like he was becoming that guy. The light has to go on. And again, I don't know what's going on with these guys. I don't know what's going on with them and why they're not turning into what you think they are. I've heard people saying that some of those. I'll go back to what I was saying about Michael Hawkins earlier. The people that are saying he didn't play well enough in practice to have the job, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Go look at Kendall Daniels' freaking video. 12 minutes of Mike balling the fuck out, dotting up our defense. I would not. Colby, I would not. Actually, that's a really good question. I wouldn't. I think that he's a tweener guy when it comes to size and things like that. His speed is Olympics. It's Olympic style speed. I mean, his mom was an Olympian. He's a sprinter. I think he's explosive and maybe he gets a little better as time goes. But I also think if you come back to Oklahoma and you don't have the kind of year that you had this year, and if you have Cam Coleman, you're probably not going to have that kind of year. Do you have the same draft grade next year as you have this year? And I mean, I don't want to say this because I want Satania to come back, but I'll also say this. That's why I've always, if you are getting a third round and higher draft grade, you have to leave. Landry Jones was a top 5 pick as a junior and slid to the 4th round for staying another year. He's a top 5 pick as a junior. You got to go when it's time. Now, some of these agents, they're not, I mean, I think some of those guys are they're not always in it for the best part. I mean, they're in it for their own pocketbook. Look, some agents are shady, man. I don't know who his agent is. I couldn't tell you what he's in it for. But I also think I don't know what that grade is either. I think there's a lot of speculation about where he could get drafted. I don't know what all the people, the scouts, the team people that are looking and getting back to Nagy, what they're saying. Chances are they're coming back with more like a 4th and 5th round grade, in which case you can improve it and you can make more money right here for staying another year. In that case, that's the thing that changes the whole thing up. Like I just said that about Landry. NIL wasn't even involved. He had to leave. In this time, maybe he doesn't, But anytime you're a 1st round grade, you got to get the fuck out. Because it can only get worse. It can't get better. The only player that I can remember that was going to be the number 1 pick as a junior and became the number 1 pick as a senior, it was like just Peyton Manning. If you stay too long, man, there's a time that you stay too long. Mm-hmm. Giovanni was a game changer. Mantier just has to let them go up and get it and not overthrow. And I think Giovanni Gibson, if you want to call him a bust, he had a broken leg and that wasn't his fucking fault. He got rolled up on. Before that, he was bringing all that smoke every day at practice. He was dominating. So see, when you say things in these absolutes, it doesn't even make sense to do that shit. I don't know why you always come in here and do that. Christopher don't know shit, Kyle. It's not just Louisiana. He don't know shit. Yeah. Well, yeah, but yeah, he's got that. But I got to tell you, I thought I was disappointed I've been disappointed in Deion Burks, man. I'm not even just saying because he wasn't available as much last year and that was an injury thing. I'm not blaming that on him. He didn't block at all this year. They do try to do those little hitches and bubbles and shit like that out there where you're supposed to block. That's a fucking blown up play if he's a blocker. He scored on one of them that he wasn't blocking. Kanik made the block. He scored at the end of the game or that game in LSU, right? Had another touchdown in the last game. But he disappeared for part of the season. And when he would catch a ball, for the longest time, I was sure that something was programmed in his brain to run into the first defender you see. I don't know. I feel like he should be more elusive, and I just didn't see that, man. I don't know. I don't know. I know, dude. I'm aware. That's why I said Trojan. When it comes to Shannon, Christopher Shannon, yeah, I rarely he gets on my nerves like seconds from getting into there, into the chat. He'll say something stupid. Who y'all want in the portal realistically? DJ Lagway? No, I don't know about DJ Lagway. I'd like. Here's the thing, man. There's a lot of fucking guys in the portal that are pretty damn good. You know, there's a lot of guys that are good, and there's going to be other guys that get in the portal that are good. We're going to have them a tier. It's just wishful thinking. It's just wishful thinking. If I had my wish, they'd keep Michael Hawkins and let him compete with somebody for real. It's not going to happen either. Correct. It's a prime example. Nuss should have left. He loved LSU. Blah 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 blah. Fuck all that, man. Get your fucking ass out of here. You got to go whenever the number is on a first round, fringe first round, second round. You got to go, bro. You got to go. No two ways around it. Yeah. Yeah, listen, he was coming around and playing really well at the end of the year. Shit, Mateer missed him by a half a fucking mile against Alabama in that last game. He could have crawled into the end zone if if that ball was around him. Nobody else was there. He could have crawled in from where he was at. He missed him in the LSU game on 1-2 that was wide ass open too. Another touchdown. He had a couple of good. He'd make a good play here and there too. But I'm just saying he didn't. There wasn't a lot of times that he didn't have a lot of explosive plays because he would catch the ball and immediately get tackled. And even if somebody wasn't right there on him, he'd run to them. It felt like. I'm not trying to hate on. I like Deion Burks. I was disappointed in his overall production. I felt like we were going to get more there, but yeah, Bobby, he ain't going nowhere. Hawk is. Nagy in 2 weeks. Welcome Samson Bigelow from Northwest Alaska State. What does that mean? Are you not a Nagy fan? Guys, you have to look. There's nothing I loathe more than blind belief in those fucking rankings for players, guys. Look, if they don't see them up close and personal, which they don't unless they go to their fucking camps, they don't know about these guys. You should trust this scouting staff as to what they think about these players. And for that matter, you trust Venables and his staff. They've done a great job of finding talent and landing it too that wasn't necessarily a 4 or 5 star. And the other thing is, if they continue on the trajectory and they go to another playoff and they keep putting defenses on the field like this, kind of similar to what we saw. I said this before, what we saw when he was at Clemson, never got a 5 star until they won the Natty. And then they started rolling in, man. And part of that is also you get the benefit of the doubt from the recruiting services because you're recruiting them. The Saban bump was a real deal. Mark Ingram, 3 star, middle of the road 3 star. Alabama offers him, Saban offers him. He's now a high 4 star, top 150 guy. Goes up 500-600 spots. You know, it's not a science, guys. It's just not scientific. It's more scientific from what Nagy and them are doing. And what Nagy talked about that everybody freaked out about, and that was with Jay, by the way. I don't know, maybe Jay framed it wrong because I think people took it the wrong way. No, it wasn't Jay that did it. Jay's the one that was trying to straighten it out at media days. Never mind. Sorry, Jay. I didn't mean it. They took it the wrong way. It was when he was on with, I think he was on with Urban Meyer and Ingram and those guys. That's what it was. He was talking about that they have their, he wasn't telling anybody how they rank them. But if a 5-star, according to the services, if the guy's a 5-star and they have him as a 5-star, if they're at the same, well, no. Okay, if they have a guy as a Nagy and them have a guy as whatever their equivalent is to a 5-star, how they've graded them. But as far as 247 and on 3 are concerned, the dude's a 3-star. Well, that's high value. There's a lot of value there because you can recruit him and pay him like a 3-star, but he's got 5-star talent. And if you trust your evaluations, and I loved what he had to say about that, was that he didn't want those guys looking at the fucking evaluations of on 3 rivals and 247 or anybody. He wanted them to have clean, unbiased thoughts about a player before they looked at them, period, in the story. Then if you trust, and look, there's a lot of experience in that scouting room that he's got, a lot of it. He trusts their evaluations. If you bring up Jaden Ott, I'm going to slap somebody. Don't bring it up. He was a take for everybody. He didn't work out. Some guys don't work out. Got to replace Marcus Strong. He's not going anywhere. Yeah. Used to be sponsored by Reese's. It's the Panini Senior. Somebody overbid for it. Dude, they don't stay the same forever. He's the one that took it into he made it part of the draft process for the NFL. I mean, he revolutionized what they were doing at the Senior Bowl. He made it more important. Golly. But hey, you guys don't realize how respected this dude is everywhere but around here. Yeah. Yeah, he's not good. Are you hating on Mayava? I mean, you need to point that towards old freaking mule shoe, brother. That's a mule shoe problem. Marcus Strong's in there. Ah, damn, I did lose track then. He may just be bumping up his money. I think he's a priority though. He may be coming back. Devon Jordan, that's a tough one. Backlinko, not really. Is expected more than anything. Well, there was going to be a couple of surprises, guys. I don't see where. Look at this tracker. KJ Daniels. That's who had the film of Michael Hawkins. Josiah Martin, Gentry, Malik, Devin, Luke, Troy, Jacob Snyder, Javante, Marcus Wimberly, Sexton, Caden Helms. No, he's not in there yet. Oh, I guess it. Yep, there it is. I just did see it. Yeah. God damn it. Hmm. Well, I mean, he was going to be a big part of the rotation, but he wasn't going to be. I mean, he's not Stoney and Jackson, but I'll say this: don't be surprised if they find the money to keep him around. Don't be surprised if they find the money to keep him around. He's a priority. I know that. That's sidestepping the damn question. I love God and everything too. That's a stupid answer. That's him being standoffish about it. And that's him like, trying to shield himself and shit like that. And it's so lame when people do that, by the way. Again, I pray every day and love God and all that kind of stuff. That's a cop out, dude. It's weak. Malik is going to be a loss too, though. Malik is a stud, brother. I'm telling you. He hadn't had his chance yet. He's not as big of a loss as Michael is necessarily, but they're tied together, so it sucks. Tatum's still not in yet. He may not be going to go in it though if he's going to stick to baseball. Or I don't know what's happening there, man. I don't know what's happening there, and I don't know. Look. I can tell you that. Here's what I'll tell you about something I've thought about Taylor, and it's a lot of speculation with him because you don't really hear a whole lot coming from even like the insider guys and stuff. You don't really hear a ton. It's speculative, right? Because you don't hear anybody else talk about him very much. The last time I saw it was like, I think it was before the LSU game, and he was on the field and in uniform and all that shit, smiling and everything else. I know that he's another one of those dudes that loves him some DeMarco Murray. And his dad and DeMarco, remember when he talked about it when he committed? That DeMarco's like his dad's best friend and shit. I mean, they love them some DeMarco. Maybe he's like, I'm gonna bet on myself here. It's not about money. We're gonna bet on ourselves and turn it around. That concussion, I think, was more serious than people even realize. That's when he got the fumbles. Dynamic wise, nobody in the room right now is as dynamic as Taylor is. He hasn't shown it. He had his problems or whatever. He also was a late entry, by the way. So they played him early, even though he was late getting there. He didn't get there till the summer. It was a quick turnaround. He is a stud. Don't forget, remember that story I was telling you guys? This is a dude that didn't really run track. He was a baseball guy. They had an injury on their 400 or their 4x1 relay team. They go to the baseball field, tell him they need him to step in. He goes over there, runs in the relay. They win. He runs a leg of it. He runs from the track, goes and changes, and leads off the game with a home run in Longview. He's dude, and go back and look at his film again. Talk about erasing angles. I'm not calling him AD. I'm saying he had a stride kind of similar to AD, where it's just long stride and those little white marks, the little white ticks are getting ate up like Pac-Man quickly. Taylor Tatum's a bad dude, bro. I'd love it if he found a way to stick around and work his way into the. I don't know why he was in the doghouse or what was going on. Maybe it was an injury thing. Maybe he was still hurt. I don't know. That's the last thing. I'm going to say this and we're going to get out of here, man. I've been going for a while. That's the last thing I'm going to say. Guys, don't forget that some of these things with some of these, we don't know what's happening with them. This is why they're not playing. They're not. And a lot of times fans are like, what the fuck are we paying this guy for, Jaden? That's different. But like with guys that, Michael Hawkins and guys like that have been here and I mean, there's not even, sometimes you just don't even, it weirds me out that a lot of OU fans don't have any more loyalty than they do sometimes. But again, I think narratives get started by somebody's big ass mouth at somewhere on Twitter or YouTube or wherever the fuck, and it gets amplified, and then it becomes the truth. And it isn't the truth. And I'm going to tell you this. Something's going on between Schmitty and the medical team and all that shit. You don't believe me? Go ask D-Mac. He said it last year before any fucking buddy else said it, and he wasn't wrong. Because when Gabe brought the shit up after the whole deal with Nick Anderson, a lot of people got pissed off at Nick Anderson about he was fucking hurt. Really hurt. You know, we can be upset with them about not being able to be healthy, but there's clearly some issues. And I'll tell you this, the medical team is connected to the same medical team that takes care of Oklahoma State. And Cody Light will tell you they got the same fucking problem for the last 5 years. Same problem. They need to clean house in that fucking department. Get rid of all of them as far as I'm concerned. Fix it. Because it doesn't go on anywhere else. It's crazy shit. Nobody said it's doomed. There's some things that there's some things that they need to shore up. They're going to be great on defense again. They may not be as deep in certain positions, but you can't expect to have 30 guys that play in the game on the defensive side of the ball. You cannot expect that. It happened this year. They're going to be able to play too deep for a long time. And again, even if Marcus Strong wasn't to come back, which I'm telling you, yeah, he may be in the portal. I wouldn't be that surprised if he got it right out of the portal. Remember David Stone last year? They like Marcus. He's done well when he's been in. He's the reason he can get in the portal is because he's got some film out there that says he can. And there's going to be some money going. But he's a priority for those guys. He is. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back. No, you don't know this at all. That's not a fact. That's not a fact. That's bullshit. He loves football. I just got to tell you about the thing between it's with his dad and DeMarco, they're homies and all that, and he loves playing football. And you realize how bad he got hurt on that? He got a concussion, stayed in the game because nobody saw it, and they handed him the ball, and he got whacked in the head again on the very next play. And this was Tennessee, the hardest hitting team they played last year. Tennessee brought it. They were nasty. Nasty, nasty. Man, I'm telling you, we don't know. And there's not anything that's like, again, what did I just say when we started talking about Taylor Tatum? There's not any real information that they give. They're not transparent. Part of it is HIPAA laws don't allow you to be that transparent unless they want you to be. The other part is they lie about shit. You know? And again, sometimes, and I'm not even saying it's necessarily like poor work as far as the medical team's concerned. I think there is some misdiagnosis. No, I know that there is some misdiagnoses that have been happening. It happened to Makari Vickers. You know, they missed multiple things on Makari. Why he ended up in Colorado. And because he got stuck behind the depth chart in there. The dude's a stud. In the end, the communication between the doctors, the rehab people, and Schmitty and them in the strength and conditioning is not good. And on top of that, I don't think Schmitty listens to him. He doesn't care about their fucking orders. He just had a surgery for this, or he just, he's going through this. You got to light work him. No, fuck that lift. Don't be a pussy. That shit happens, man. Yeah. Well, but you know what? Listen, house, I get it. And well, here's what I would tell you. Is it purgatory? They just went. They got 10 wins in the fucking SEC. This isn't the old Big 12. We're having the look. Lincoln's 11-win seasons. Their teams weren't this good. Their offenses were very good, but they had less of a chance to win at the high level than this team does now, and it's with the holes in it, right? All things being equal, I mean, I don't know that. I'll just be real with you. I'm going to have to see John Mateer not be the John Mateer I saw before I believed that he's not that guy anymore. I'm going to have to see it. But even if he can just be not as much of that guy that we saw this year, they're going to have a good shot if their defense continues to be what it is now. And I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. I think you may end up having to have a guy step up a year earlier into a more major role than what we were expecting. But Nigel Smith isn't in the portal. He's supposed to be. They're ready for him. Nigel he's chomping at the bit to get his opportunity. Danny Okoye is ready to be shot out of a fucking cannon to play. Wyatt Gilmore, I hear nothing but good things about him. They're talking about him like exactly like we've been seeing Taylor Wine play. Wyatt Gilmore's been killing it. Linebacker-wise, James Nesta. Love his size. He's not playing baseball anymore. You know. Yeah, but okay, you're going off if he seems to post a lot more during baseball season? Dude, it's a freaking slower game. You know, they got a shit ton of them, and, you know, you're out in the springtime. Love is in the air. Maybe he's happier. Maybe he does like baseball more. Who cares? But he came to Oklahoma because he was going to be able to play both, and Skip can manage that. We automatically assume because he's not playing, he hasn't really gotten a groove going and playing baseball yet either. We'll see what he does with the baseball team this year. Maybe he is just going to play baseball. I don't know. That's what Mason thinks. He thinks he's out. He thinks he's out. I don't see him in the portal. Look, I'd love it if he stayed and we got to like see if he could still do it, because that's God-given talent. I mean, or go play somewhere else or something, because the guy could go. And, you know, the Texas fans that talk shit about, they wanted him to. Lincoln was hot on his show. He was going to USC until he wasn't. But Texas was right there. LSU wanted him really bad. Him and Durham didn't get along because it was the same people that were recruiting them both. All right. But I was going to leave it at that, man. We've been going for a little while. I appreciate everybody coming in. It's late, 2 o'clock in the morning now. Appreciate everybody coming in, though, man. Happy New Year to everybody. I love all you guys. Look, it's not supposed to be easy to win a national championship. I understand the angst that we all have. We want to see Oklahoma get it done. The problem that I have the most, and this is what I'm going to end this show with. I know a lot of you look at it, that it's all about, I'm just thinking of, I think Hawkins is this and this and this. I know what Hawkins is in my eyes. I also know that he's been loyal to this program when he did not have to be, when it wasn't loyal to him. Go look at the video. Go look it up. It's under KJ Daniels KJ Daniels posted it on Twitter. 12 minutes of film of Michael Hawkins doing my unbelievable things, and the things that it would have been good for him to be on the field. And you go back and then go back and look at the games that they lost and the games that they should have blown teams out and they didn't. And his play in those, and John Mateer's play in those, and it's obvious that, in my mind, the thing that bothers me the most is that Arbuckle wasn't willing to pull him out of the game and put the guy in that you can win, that gives you the best chance to win. For personal reasons, for bias reasons towards his guy. I hate that fucking term now at this point. And it's easy, and we can stop there, but except it goes higher because Venables has to know this shit. They're all there at practice. They all see what's going on. They're all watching him struggle and bleed all over himself in the fucking Red River game that they, for the third time in freaking 4 years, didn't score a point a touchdown. They couldn't get a touchdown for the third time in 4 years in the Red River game, in a game they should have won. Those are the kind of things that can derail everything good that you've done with your culture and within the bedrock of your program, because it starts getting around that you're full of shit. It's a lot of talk and not a lot of this and that. I believe in Coach Venables and what he is as a man, but you have to. Culture means that you do it all the time when nobody's looking and when people are looking. It doesn't matter. It never changes. And when you compromise for one, it's over now. It's no longer a part of your culture. That's a problem when it comes to competition for positions. And it's a problem when you're allowing your coaches to arbitrarily control, the depth chart for personal reasons instead of performance reasons. That's my problem with it. I want to see them do better and move forward. I hope for nothing but the best for Michael Hawkins wherever they land. Michael and Malik, good luck to you guys. Good luck to your family. They're always going to be Sooners to me. They were legacy guys. Their dad's a Sooner. They're Sooners. Wherever they go, I hope they kill it. But I hope that Oklahoma gets it together too. And you got to, I believe that, I think that, my thing is that I feel like I told Bishop Frank this earlier on the phone. There was a lot, and there's still a lot of content creators out there, and you guys know who the hell you are, and I'm not gonna call you by name, but you know I'm talking to you. You're out there acting like 26 will be all better because we're gonna do this and do that, and do this and do that. Okay, cool. You can't take for granted your opportunities when they're there because they're fleeting, and that window opens and closes fast. Okay, all right, guys, love you guys. Appreciate everybody. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope so, man. Hey, Astro, it's good to see you, man. We're just getting out of here. Appreciate everybody coming in. Love you guys. Happy New Year. Be safe if you're still out. If you're still out, what are you doing out and being on the show at the same time? Be careful, please. Make sure you're not drinking and driving. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.